All right, another episode of Conversate After Dark. Tay, what's up with you?
Everything's good with me. What's going on with you?
It's all good. It's all good. Tell people where they can find us.
You can find us at Conversates After Dark everywhere. And if you would like to be a guest on the show or you have a topic you want us to cover, you can reach us at CVAD, the podcast at gmail.com.
That's right. Go to our website, www.conversateafterdark.com. You can check out our old episodes. Make sure you tell everybody about the show. So, Tay, let's kick it off with the icebreaker.
Okay. Which one you want to go with?
Extreme personal questions.
Okay. I don't like either one of these. The first one you can't answer, and the second one is just.
What was it? Just out of curiosity.
First time you tasted semen.
Oh. No.
I'm not even going to do that.
Wrong guy for that.
I mean, okay. Again, these for most extreme personal questions, they're not always sexual related. You know, they're just personal. So I give you a choice. The first one is, what is the most recent thing you have said to yourself while looking in a mirror? The second one is, what is the meanest thing you have done to a sibling?
I'll do the meanest thing I've done to a sibling.
Okay.
So I'm the youngest of 4 boys. And not only am I the youngest, I'm the youngest by 12 years. So the brother that's like closest to me in age, when we were younger, he was still in the house. And we had like this love-hate relationship. We shared a room, like 2 twin beds. We shared a room. And I was scared of the dark. So I was like getting to bed with him, and he'd always like switch beds, and I'd follow him around, and he'd like beat me up or whatever. But one day I got tired of him beating me up. And I knew that my mom, there's certain things that my mom did not play, and that was peeing in the bed. Like, so I was like 5 or something like that. So, as you're a young kid, you kind of working through like peeing in the bed or whatever. So I was like, I'm tired. I can't beat him up, but I know who can. Mama. And so what I did, I went and got a cup of water and I poured it in his bed. And I said, Mama, Darnell peed in the bed. And she ran in there and she felt the bed was wet and she started beating on him. And my dumb 5-year-old behind left the cup on the dresser right by the bed. And he pointed it out. It was like, no, that was him. Look, there's a cup right there. And she figured it out. And then guess who got their ass towed out the frame? Me.
You. What's the age difference between you and your brother?
So my oldest brother's 18 years older than me.
Okay.
And the one in the middle, my second oldest brother is 14 years older than me. And then the one that's close to me is 13 years older than me. So I always tell people, I grew up like an only child. Like, because by the time I got, they were out the house once they graduated high school and stuff. They went and did their own thing. So I have brothers, but I still grew up like an only child as well.
Right. Now, I was just trying to figure out at what age did your mother believe he was peeing in the bed?
Well, I mean, for her, she was just like, oh, no, you didn't, especially at that age, because he was in high school.
Right.
And she was like,
yeah, right.
So, and my mama was a boy mom. So like she wasn't play, like it was no questions answered, asked. If she thought that you were messing up, she's finna come and let you have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
What about you?
So I'm the oldest sister. So my sister, when she was real little, it didn't take much for her to catch an attitude. But it was funny because she was so little, she was so cute. So I used to do things to make her mad on purpose just to see her get upset. And then I knew she couldn't beat me because I was older. So, oh Lord, I hope she don't see this. But yeah, I used to do stuff on her.
Now, what's the age difference between y'all?
It's 3.5 years.
Now, see, I used to date a girl, and she was the older sister, maybe 3 years, something like that. Now, the difference was her and her little sister would get into it, but the little sister became bigger than the big sister by a significant margin. And, so they got into it once they became teenagers. Boy, they would have some humdinger night down dragouts. But it seemed like that older sibling still had like that little bitty edge. And I was like, hey, one of these days, your little sister gonna kick your ass because she got you by at least 60 pounds. At least.
Yeah.
At least. So you better be careful. You beating up on her now, but you better be careful because she gonna get you one day.
Yeah, I ended that when she was little because by the time she was 13, she was taller than me and bigger than me. But so yeah, she probably could have beat me up if I tried that when we were older, but that has stopped when we were little.
You can't be picking on little sis, man. Can't be doing
No.
something about y'all older siblings. See, my thing is when I was younger, my brothers were so much more older than me, especially my oldest brother. And I know he ain't gonna watch this. When you're 18 and you got a little brother, first of all, you kind of like, well, damn, what the fuck is this? And 18 years difference, sometimes they forget they're your brother and they try to act like your dad. And that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work. Now, my two other brothers, we was cool, right? They give me like older brother guidance or whatever, but there's a little bit more respect there. So yeah, it's a different dynamic when you have such a big age range between brothers. So
I can see that.
Yeah, but me and the two in the middle, we hung out a lot more. And as I got older, I mean they're all in relationships now, so they not wild like me. So I'm back to being they ain't the freak in the streets like me.
I can't say whether my sister is or not. She's married, so I don't know. We have never had these conversations, but I'm sure she's learned a lot about me through this show.
Well, we appreciate her watching the show and supporting. And shit, she might be a freak for her husband. That's how it's supposed to be.
She could be. She could be.
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. Hey, ain't nothing wrong being a freak.
True, that's true.
Yeah. You gotta do it at the right time though. Like you can't. So, what is a freak though?
Freak. That's tough to define because a freak different people have different definitions of it. I think a true freak is somebody who is. I hate the word freak, but since we're using it.
Why do you hate it though?
I don't know because it can have such a it can bring up negative feelings for people. It can bring about a lot of judgment when used the wrong way. Like being called a freak instead of saying this person is freaky. Like the two, they have different connotations. Like I know when I was a kid, if you called somebody freaky, you were saying like they were loose, they were out here, they were the fast tail girls, as my grandmother used to call them.
Really?
That's so the definition has changed. Or well, from different conversations, the definition has changed over the years. It's not a judgment thing anymore. It's more so of what do you do in the bedroom?
I don't know because you and I are the same age. Mm-hmm. Well, you older than me, but
what 3 months? Stop it.
But you remember Houdini came out with the freaks come out at night, and I guess there may have been for women. Okay, so it may have been for girls, young women. There's probably more of a negative connotation in some people's eyes. Mm-hmm. But I feel as if for a guy, a woman being a freak or a guy saying that he's a freak, I never took that as something negative. It wasn't until I got older and, I became like kind of lifestyle adjacent and I started talking to people, like, Miss Thicknotic and they like really doing some stuff, and like where I
Mhm.
say I'm freaky because of how I get down in the bedroom. When I talk to people like that, they're like, "Dude, you vanilla," and I'm like, "What the fuck? No, no, I'm not. No, I'm not." But they're like, "Do you do this? Do you do this? Do you do that?" And I'm like, "Nah, I don't do that."
Vanilla people usually get offended with that.
What'd you say?
I said vanilla people usually get offended with being called vanilla. I'm just joking.
Oh, I don't like it. If somebody call me vanilla, I'm like, nah, I'm a freak. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me prove it. Yeah. But I mean, so when do you, so is it a bad thing if a guy thinks you're a freak?
Uh, that depends on the guy. Now, somebody like me, I don't care because I've let go of
You
caring
don't care if
about
he's judging you for being a freak, or you don't care.
exactly both.
Okay.
Yeah, I've kind of let go of caring about people's judgments of me. Um, I just live my life. So I'm sure there are people who will consider me a freak in both connotations, the negative way and just somebody who's uninhibited in bed. And I guess that would be my definition of a freak, somebody who's uninhibited. I wouldn't say they allow any and everything, but their inhibitions aren't as strict as a lot of other people, vanilla people, I should say.
Okay. So here's the question.
Mm-hmm.
You meet a guy and he tickles your fancy.
Mm-hmm.
Are you giving him 100% of your freakiness the first time y'all get down, or is it something that you gotta ramp up into?
Interesting question. So for me, I guess my thoughts on that have gone back and forth over the years. Um, in one respect, you always say if you give somebody your A game right off the bat, you're gonna create a stalker. I've witnessed that not just for me. I've witnessed it for friends, men and women, that just
Really?
created stalkers from giving A game that first night.
I,
I
I
don't know.
I don't understand that though. So I mean, but I'm learning to understand it
Mm-hmm.
because I said it before. I just got divorced, so I'm brand new, and it's still relatively brand new. It's been almost 2 years. And one of the things that my best friend told me, he said, "Hey man, I'm gonna tell you something. You can't be out here deep stroking and tongue kissing them at the same time. That gives them feelings." And I was like, "What you mean?" He was like, "You're gonna be out here, you're gonna be having fun or what have you." Basically, he was saying you can't be making love to people because it creates feelings. Basically, you just got to put your mean face on and fuck.
Yeah.
And I don't, that's hard for me. It's not hard for me to do, but I don't really want to do that because, like, we talked about this the other day. Can you make love without being in love? And the answer for me is yes. I can make love and not be in love. And I think I've been with certain people where it kind of blurs the line. Where we start off, we just fucking, and then like it goes into like we making love or what have you. So sending that message through sex, I don't know how to turn that off. Yeah, I mean, is that a real
Yeah.
thing? So like if a guy's like, trying to really be passionate and lovey-dovey while he's giving sex to you, does that make you think that he feels more about you emotionally than if he just did it like regular schmegular?
Not for me. but I understand that my thought process behind a lot of things is not it can be a little different than a lot of women. I'm not one who falls in love just because of the sex. That's never happened to me. I don't understand it because I analyze everything too much. So I analyze your whole lifestyle. So if the sex is good, we can do that. But I can't think about you in my future if everything else in your life is going crazy. So that for me, that's not. And I am someone like you who actually rather enjoys passionate sex, you want to call it love making or whatever, and it doesn't, that doesn't make me fall or, fall in love.
Wow. So okay, you don't give your A game. How do you hold back then?
Then that's what I'm saying. So for me, it's it's changed over the years. So sometimes, it's been times when I was younger where I was like, you want to be on the top of somebody's list of the best they ever had. So why not give your A game? I'm not saying I do this. I'm just saying my thought process. Why not give your A game so you can be on the top of somebody's list? I don't know if that's a thing.
See, but to me, I don't want to be on anybody's bad dick report.
No. I'm talking about their good list. They're like,
I know, but that's what I'm saying. If I'm not giving my best, and I'm just saying, hey, if the thought process is don't give your best because you don't want to create a stalker, right? Or you don't want them falling in love with you. If I'm not giving my best, then it might be average or subpar if I'm holding back. And we know women talk, especially if your shit is trash. And who wants to be on that list?
And and that's exactly why I said my thoughts behind it have fluctuated over the years because, again, I don't mind a dude from my past when he thinks about the women from his past, my name comes up at the top. I don't mind that. So I was gonna say, sometimes I think maybe it's good to give your best from the jump. But then it also brings to mind, okay, well, if you give your best from the start, where do you go from there? But do people even care about that?
I don't care about that. Like, I just want to enjoy the moment. I'm at this point in my life, I'm YOLO. I want to try to have quality sex every time I do it. And what I found is, as a middle-aged man, I'm still mid-40s. Next year I'll be closer to late 40s. But we talked about how like women want to fuck at this age. They want to fuck all the time. And guys, there may be some guys that want to fuck all the time, right? But for me, I don't need to do it all the time. I want to have some quality sex. I want to have like a real nice session. And that's really what I'm looking for. So I don't mind, okay, it was the bomb right now, then we're gonna constantly be chasing it from here on out. That's just how I look at it.
That's true. I can see that.
And it might get old. And guess what? It's good while it lasted. Go on to the next one.
Oh, dang.
For real. Why not?
That's true. That's true, I guess. I can't say that. There was one time I got bored with it, but that's only because I like variety. He couldn't change up his method. But I was going to say I've never gotten bored from sexual relationship with someone who had good sex. Like, I've never gotten bored with it, except for once.
Because he was a one-trick pony.
Exactly. And with what he did, he was great. But when I was like, okay, well, can we try this? Yeah. And you try your stroke game like this? And he couldn't maintain that. He could do it for like a couple of times, and then it was like, okay, back to the old,
Back to my consistent move. Sometimes on the court, on the basketball court, dude got one move that works. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got that one move, stick to it. Especially if it worked.
But if your teammate is saying, hey, this ain't working, can we change up a little bit? Sometimes you got to change it up a little bit.
Listen, so Joe said, better not kiss him. You're going to end up with a marriage, mortgage, 2 kids, and a dog. You sound like you talking from experience, brother. Kimberly says, what happens if the person is born, but the sex is not?
Keep them as a sexual partner. Just don't get in a relationship.
Just keep them as a cut buddy. How does that work, though? How is somebody born but their sex is good?
I've heard that before. If they don't have a personality outside of the sex, that can easily happen.
That might be for guys. I don't think that's for women.
I don't know about that. I don't know
I'll
about
say
that.
this because for me, I guess I guess it depends on how you define good sex. Like for me, I like that Wesley Pipes, like we talking shit to each other, loud, all of that. And I have found that the women who are more dramatic, loud, um, typically their baseline persona when you are having sex, then it's even more heightened, which is something that intrigues me more. So I guess that's why I'm kind of like, see how do the two go together? But I get what you're saying.
Could be. I mean, like Kimberly said, they don't have interesting conversation. Sex, if somebody leads with sex and that's all they have, and the rest of them, like they don't have anything to talk about, or the things that you all you don't have anything in common, your interests don't align, that could make somebody boring to you too.
I need y'all to stop having sex with people that ain't that smart.
I'm not just talking about people who aren't smart.
God bless her. I had sex with somebody who wasn't that smart. And she could go. And I ain't gonna say that because I don't want to. She's a sweet person, so but I'll just like, yeah, I don't know, man. We probably only are good for this, and that runs its course. That runs its course.
I'm sure it does.
Kimberly says, now for a cut buddy, I guess that's okay. You said you guess like you suspicious, Kimberly. You know what I'm saying? That's what they good for. They good for a cut buddy. So
Yeah.
who you think is more freaky, men or women?
I want to say men, but I think women can be, and I say that because if you've ever been to a strip club where women attend versus a strip club where men attend, the women are a little more feisty, a little more.
That's true.
Into it.
That's true. I think that when it comes to sexuality, the spectrum that you all are able to have is much wider, right?
Right.
So that contributes to it. In your example, you're talking about the strip club. The women could be a lot more feisty because if a dude is getting feisty, there's certain limits for they be like, hey, playboy, you need to settle down with the women, and let you go and pay and go somewhere private. So I think that men probably are more freakier, depending on how we define it, just because there hasn't been those societal constraints and judgments put on men like they have been on women. Like,
I was
not every woman is like you, where you're like, listen, I don't care about people's judgment. I'm gonna live my life. I'm gonna do what I want to do. There's certain women where you're like, yo, let's do this, or let's experiment, let's try this. And they're like, nah, you ain't gonna have me doing all that. And it's just like, well, why not? And it's like, nah, you ain't gonna have me doing all that. And it's not really a good excuse. Like the only excuse for me is like, I'm just not comfortable doing that. And if you're not comfortable doing that, that's fine. We won't do it. But if you're just worried about like how it potentially makes you look, then it's kind of like, I mean, I gotta respect it, but I'm like, is that really a good excuse? Because like, why are you worried about what other people think?
And that's why I worded it the way I did when I said women can be, because you all, like you said, you all aren't raised to hide your sexuality. You all can be expressive, can talk about it, and nobody blinks an eye. Nobody, has anything to say. But if a woman is, not even if she's sleeping with everybody, but just expresses an interest in sex, there are people who will look at her in a negative way. Those things are changing, but they're changing slowly. But I don't know if you've heard the saying that if a woman is comfortable with a guy, like he can ask her to do almost anything and she might do it.
I think it depends on the guy for sure.
It does. It does. A guy who can make her feel comfortable in knowing that she can be as open with him as she wants and he's not going to judge her. I'm saying that's one of the reasons why I am the way I am, was because in one of my relationships, the guy I was with let me know that I could tell him all of my fantasies, and if it was something that he could provide or he could do, he did. And that's actually, it was like I always had thoughts in my head, but the how I was able to express them and how I'm able to be myself with them now was really because of him.
Yeah. So I've learned a lot from Tay. It's been the only time I'm gonna say this. No, I'm playing. I learned a lot from Tay and from some of the other women that we all know. And the one thing that I have learned, I used to be a closed-minded individual. And there's some guys who are closed-minded. They're real judgmental. We talked about, are you going to be freaky from the onset? There's some guys like, if you get with her and she's straight gobbling your dick, you like, damn, like, I'm enjoying this, but where you learn how to do all this at?
Mm-hmm.
And they worried about the wrong things. Like, okay, don't worry about where she learned how to do it. Just be appreciative that she's willing to do it for you, right? And enjoy the ride. There was a thing when I was real close-minded. I used to have this thing about women and their hair. Like, I used to be fixated on, and this is so embarrassing, but it's true. Like, whenever one of my women had like long black wavy, weave or whatever, like I would just be so turned on by them. But then there was certain other hairstyles where it was kind of like whatever. But if it's like, that long black wavy weave, I'm like, oh shit, I'm on it. And I remember a woman that I was with, she cut her hair. She went like to a pixie cut. She was a beautiful woman. She was a beautiful woman. The cut was nice. And my ignorant behind made her feel real bad because I was just like, I don't like women with short hair. And that was so idiotic of me. Whereas I should have been trying to make her feel comfortable in her skin. And I realized later on that, if a woman wants to rock whatever hairstyle she wants to rock, let her do it. Because when she's comfortable in her skin and she's just willing to just be herself and she doesn't have any apprehension about, how she looks or whatever, man, you want to reap the benefits, especially when it comes into the bedroom. For real, for real.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think I say that women are more freakier than men. I think y'all just probably have to be a little bit more covert with it than guys do. Because I think a lot of guys think that they are freaky, but just like when we talked about the beginning of the show, you was like, you can't answer this because of X, Y, and Z. There's certain stuff we just can't go down. Like now, if you do all that, right, you dibble and dabble with, male on male sex or whatever, yeah, you got me, player. You way more freaky than me. But I don't think that there's a lot of guys who are like that. And there's definitely, if there are, there's probably not as many who would admit it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Very few. There are some, but very few.
So Janine said, true, because when I'm feeling myself, I'm trying to show out. I know you are. We appreciate that. For real, for real. So today, little controversy. I posted something on social media where a guy was talking about, hey, you having sex with a skinny girl or a thin girl, hey, basically she could take the D. Now, with a bigger girl, right, that's not the case. And if you watch the clip, the girl, she kind of like trying to throw some shade, like, what, the big girls be out of breath? No, man. I know some big girls that have put in some work, right? They arrive with their feet flat. It's definitely not no situation where, your session is going to be limited because she can't go because of her size. Nah, there's some extreme cases, right? But, bigger, thicker women, shit, they don't have no limitations like that. They love sex just like anybody else. But we talked about the ability to take the dick. It's a scientific fact that's not proven, but most guys agree that skinny girls take dick better than bigger girls. Have you ever heard that as a woman?
I've heard that. I don't necessarily agree with that. And I'm just saying, I've been slim I've been big and everywhere in between. And I've never had an issue. So I don't know where that comes from.
Kimberly says the unproven scientific fact is an opinion. But
Exactly.
when a whole bunch of guys have the opinion, we could kind of see a certain trend there. But it kind of went. I mean, it was meant to be something funny to discuss because most guys think it's true because that's been our experience, right? But the guy made a comment. He was like, big girls, you got to lock her down basically because she was running. So then, some of the women on the post were like, well, why would you want to lock her down? Why would you want her in pain? That might be too personal, but is that a thing for women? Like, is running from the dick something that you want, or are guys mistaken and like that should not be a badge of honor?
That should not be a badge of honor. If she's running from you, there's a reason. And it's not because she's enjoying it too much. Unless, there are times when a woman can have an orgasm and then certain parts of her body become sensitive. Same thing happens to men. We're not talking about that. We're talking about if you're bringing pain to somebody and they're running from you, there's a reason. Pain should, unless she's somebody who likes pain as pleasure, there are those. Unless she's one of them, that's not a good thing.
Is that a common occurrence that guys who are, call themselves, that are more well endowed or call themselves bringing the thunder, bringing the pain? I know that sounds corny. Is that common? Do women encounter that a lot?
I don't know how common or uncommon it is. I do hear it mostly with men who are immature, and you can usually find that out through their conversation about other things. Or I should say younger men, it's talked about a lot. Like when I was younger, I heard it a lot. Men in their 20s, but I think once men mature, I think they realize that's not a good thing. At least I hope. That's my hope.
The problem with that is that we don't really mature until we get to like our late 30s, early 40s.
Right. Which is why I said I remember hearing it a lot when I was younger because I was dating guys and who were younger. Or I was around people, because I can't say I dated a lot of guys who had that mentality, but I was around people in that age range. So I heard it more back in the day. I don't hear it a lot now from the men that I associate with or know now.
Yeah. Like you said, there's times when, you'll have a woman running because the pleasure becomes too much, right? And you're like, nah, come back, I'm not done. She was like, nah, I just can't take it. Because I think, it just becomes sensory overload and, they need a break. But I think if you are inducing pain, you really need to be self-aware and be like, okay, how do I need to adjust this so that she's enjoying every single moment of this.
Right.
Kimberly said, if these guys are fetishizing big women and are not big women specialists, they don't know how to feed that confidence. That might be why she runs. What's a big woman specialist?
I don't know. I don't know if I've ever had anybody who was a big woman specialist. Maybe I have. I don't know.
I'd like to think that I'm a big woman specialist, but I don't know. I would need a definition of what a specialist is when it comes to that. I do think that there is a science and approach where you are messing with a woman that is quote unquote big per se. It's definitely not a one size fits all, or the way you approach a girl who is smaller versus one that is bigger isn't the same.
Right. Same with men. The way you approach is
same with what? What's different?
I'm talking about the size of, certain body parts.
Are you talking about? No, well, okay. You talking about the D?
Yes.
But what about if it's like a big?
Yeah, because
like what if it's like a big dude versus like a more slender dude? Is there a different approach?
Yes. Just in terms of And I would assume it would be the same way with women. Just the way your bodies fit together may have to adjust some, but just because there's more volume there. I mean, I've gotten bigger in my older age. I've had to adjust some things because I have more body than I did back in the day. So, you know.
I get it. I get it. Kimberly says someone who truly enjoys the aesthetics. Well, I definitely enjoy the aesthetics. But, there used to be this thing where a big girl wouldn't date or have sex with a big guy.
I've heard that.
And vice versa. I know some big dudes like, I don't want no big woman. I don't want me, because it's like, I'm big, she big, it just ain't gonna work. Now, I'm not of that mindset. I understand, but where there's a will, there's a way, and it still can be good.
Yeah, there was a comedian back in the day who had a joke about that.
Yeah, he said, I can't see my stuff, you can't see your stuff. Yeah. That was it. That was it back in the day. So you mess with big dudes, Tay?
I haven't. I've dealt with people all over the spectrum, all up and down the shade, all up and down the sizes. I've dated all up and down.
Tay don't discriminate.
As long as the guys treats me well, I'm good.
Okay. Have you had good sex from both?
Yes. Because again, I don't believe that your body size matters. I believe that if you learn yourself and learn how to maneuver your own body, I believe you can make anything work. You just have to know your body, learn your partner, learn what works for the both of you, and your skill level. Because that plays a part for a lot of men too, and women, is a skill level.
Joe said we used to call them big game hunters, BGH. I realize how that sounds now. That's still a funny terminology, but I tried to use the BGH, Joe, and I got in trouble with that, man. So thanks for nothing. Janine says some big dudes think they are attractive because they are big. I've had to give them that look like, man, come on here now. So you talking about big, like a big guy, or well-endowed package, Janine? I think there's a difference there. I don't know. I think it depends on, we talked about it on the show before. I think it depends on the region when it comes to that too. Because, like I grew up in the Midwest, and big dudes at a younger age weren't in style. Now, I moved to the South, big dudes was popping, young or old. Now that we getting older, not old, but older, you go back to the Midwest, I may look at a big dude a little bit different. Pause. A woman might look at a big dude a little bit differently. You know what I'm saying? So at least that's been my experience. Janine says, sorry, they don't think they're fine because they're big. Okay. That's what she meant. She said, so some big dudes don't think that they're attractive because they are big. And she's had to give them that look like, yes, you are.
Yeah,
I think that drives home the point of what I was talking about. When we were younger, big dudes weren't always, the go-to. We had like Heavy D and Heavy D, as like the big suave dude, but like, nah, it wasn't always like that. And I think that plays a part into why some big dudes be like, wait a minute, you think I look good? And then either they start playing themselves like a sucker because somebody told them they cute, or they become a hoe. I've probably done both. But anyway. I've done both. So yeah, I think your freak level, remember we used to ask our guests, what's your freak quotient? I think that varies from person to person. And I think if we're talking about big girls versus little girls, I've had to give it to the big girls.
Okay.
Big girls.
So you're saying the skinny girls can take it better, but the big girls are freakier.
Or maybe just that I enjoy big girls, you know what I'm saying? I mean, but
Okay.
okay, so let me ask you this before we wrap it up. Say that we're just gonna say hypothetical, right? Say that you're a big girl and you see your partner, you see their porn searches. And when you look at their porn searches, you see itty bitty black women. And that's all they're looking for. Or basically, whatever they're looking for is the opposite of what you are. You gonna feel some type of way?
That happened to me when I was younger.
Well,
It wasn't itty bitty girls. It was a different race. And yeah, I did feel away. But I don't know. The older I get, the more that type of stuff doesn't matter to me. I mean, if you are with me and you really want to be with me, and I can tell you want to be with me, that stuff doesn't matter to me.
so whatever fantasy they have don't really make a difference.
No.
I don't know. I probably wouldn't. I probably wouldn't have a problem with it.
Yeah, that dude had me hating a whole race of women because of his likes.
For real. Damn. So what made you get over that?
Um, Actually, he did because he really loved me. He was really into me. So I eventually got over it.
Damn. Okay.
But yeah,
He said not the whole race.
yeah, the whole race.
You walk down the street mean mugging folks.
Only if he was around.
Damn, that's
So
tough.
I was just
That's tough. So what we learned today, fellas, if she's running from it, that's not a good thing. If she's running because of the pain, that's not a good thing. And big girls may be more freaky, but little girls can take that dick. But anyway, tell them where they can find us.
You can find us at Conversates After Dark everywhere. And if you would like to be a guest on the show, you have a topic you want us to cover, a story you want us to read, advice, maybe, you can reach us at CVAD, the podcast at gmail.com. Make sure you like this video, share it, and subscribe, and leave us a comment. Let us know what you think of the show.
That's right. Go to our website, www.conversateafterdark.com. Listen to old episodes. Hit us up, CVAD the podcast at gmail.com. Especially if you are a big girl that wants to prove that you can take that D. I got you. We're out you next time. Peace.
Bye.